Our next speaker is Dr. Carmen Smith. Dr. Smith is an ordained metaphysical minister and conducts seminars and workshops around the world on healing from the inside out. Dr. Carmen Smith was the co-pastor at the University of Metaphysics Institute in Las Vegas, Nevada, with Dr. Paul Leon Masters, her mentor and friend. Dr. Smith continues the metaphysical teachings of Dr. Masters at the Bobob Theater every second Saturday at Town Square in Las Vegas, Nevada. Dr. Smith teaches that our trauma is our biggest treasure. Dr. Smith is a licensed clinical social worker who destigmatizes mental health symptoms by distributing videos and newsletters information intended to educate people about depression and anxiety. Her intention is to create a safe place to heal our bias and entrenched views that contribute to polarized thinking that leads to separation. Dr. Smith worked as a child and family intervention specialist in the child welfare field for Clark County Family Services in Las Vegas for 20-plus years. Dr. Smith helped families realize that abuse, addiction, and emotional trauma does not have to be their legacy. Dr. Smith is the author of a book, The I Am Solution, Simple Practices to Transform Fear Back to Love, which helps people realize they have the power to heal. She is a guest lecturer at the University of Nevada, helping professionals how to activate their healing power. Dr. Carmen Smith is a practicing cross-cultural shaman and emphatic healer who understands that this is our time. It is our time to shine, our time to put everything we are into practice. It is time to be the one. Join me in welcoming Dr. Carmen Smith.
We're living in a very exciting time. Like I said last night, that this is our time. Can you feel it? I mean, I've been talking about being the light for so many years, and it just came off as gibberish, but I think that people are listening now. People are waking up because, yes, it's very exciting. And the reason that you know that it's exciting is because if you've ever been through trauma, if you've ever been through stuff and been on the other side of it, then you know that there's another side. You know that we can get there because you've gotten there. Have you ever been through a divorce? I have. A horrible one, okay? And I came out on the other side. I had a time when my son didn't talk to me for 2 years. Now we live together, we're best friends. I came out on the other side of that. If you've ever had cancer or any type of disease or anything where your body wasn't functioning well and then all of a sudden it started working correctly, you've been on the other side of that. So this is a very exciting time because our world needs us, because we know what's on the other side. The other side is love, is oneness, right? I know I'm preaching to the choir, but I'm doing a video here, so this is for people that don't know what you know, okay? You guys are like, yeah, we know that. I know, isn't that exciting? We've got to give people this vibration of excitement. So if you don't have it, you can take some from me because I have it in abundance, okay? So Einstein said, we can't solve the problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. We know that. So when I had victim mentality, where everybody was against me, remember I talked about that last night? That was a lower vibration. I couldn't change anything, but I could suffer more. And I did that for a while. And then you start to change your vibration, and you start to come up higher. You see the joy in things. So I'm trying to free people's mind by getting them out of the victim mentality. This is from The Matrix, one of my favorite movies. This is Morpheus. Morpheus means change. We talked about how change can be a wonderful thing. On the other side of change is God's grace. But I can only show you the door. You're the one that has to walk through it. So Dr. Masters for me and many spiritual teachers like Marianne Williamson, Michael Beckwith, all of these wonderful teachers, they can show you the door, but you're the one that has to walk through it. Now let me tell you about that because For years, I would hear these spiritual teachers and I'd be like, oh, they're so great, and oh, that's so wonderful. And I may be able to quote a couple of them, but I never became what they were talking about. Ooh, that's deep. I never became what they were talking about. I was just seeing the surface of it. But it's not until you become, you embody Jesus. It's not until God is in you and you are talking to somebody as God, hello, that your life begins to change. Your vibration begins to change. You can't be a victim and God at the same time. Who knew? Right? Incredible. So I would go into juvenile detention and I would talk to the girls about the matrix. And I would talk to them about changing their consciousness and how we've been sold a bill of goods. We've been bamboozled and hoodwinked by our school system who tells us that we're not enough. By all kinds of things, bad parenting, parenting that's not awakened, that teaches us basically what they think they are. And if they're not functioning at a higher consciousness, they're going to pass that on. So it's generational, low vibration and victimization. And so I talk to the girls about this, and I tell them how powerful they are, because we have to deprogram a lot of the things that we thought were true, just because the world is thinking that. So sooner or later, you're going to realize, just like I did, that there's a difference between knowing the path and walking the path. And when you start walking the path, your vibration changes. And not only does your vibration change, those that are around you can feel it, that there's something different. Oh, it's spooky, isn't it? It's spooky stuff. It's good stuff, though. So the gift of mental power comes from God, divine being. And if we concentrate our minds on that truth, we become in tune with the great power. That was Nikola Tesla said that. And you wonder why they don't teach Nikola Tesla in schools. Well, right? He was powerful. He had the secrets. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. So if you're vibrating with everybody else that you know you need to come up higher, right? Because not everybody is vibrating like this. And fear is what keeps us in a lower frequency. So I had fear, a lot of fear, but I didn't know that. If you would have asked me 20 years ago, Carmen, you're just afraid, you have fear, I would have been defensive. What are you talking about? I've read Marianne Williamson, Return to Love. I listened to Dr. Masters. But what was I? I was very critical of other people because I was in survival mode. And I came from a very dysfunctional family, and we judged people. And so I was a big judger. We would watch TV and judge everybody on TV, right? We would, and so you take on, you internalize that judgment. And so what you are is you're critical of people. Well, do you think God is judgmental and critical and mean-spirited? Well, no. So you're at a lower vibration and frequency. So I created the human hamster wheel. I needed a visual to show people if I was going to teach this, but mostly I was working on myself, people. I didn't create this originally so that other people could be healed. If you're a healer, you got to heal yourself first. So I'm letting you know, I was very dysfunctional and very judgmental and very critical. That's not a loving energy, okay? So I had to transmute that. You couldn't tell me that I was judgmental and critical. I had to discover that. God had to reveal that to myself, because if you would have told me, I would have gotten defensive. Does that make sense? So thank you. That's something to be grateful for. Thank you for the understanding and the dropping that in my consciousness that I needed to change that. So if you don't know you're critical, look at the power and control reactions. Do you blame? Do you shame when you're communicating with other people? When something happens, do you look outside of yourself and blame other people? Because if you do, you'll never work on yourself. It's somebody else's fault. They need to change. My husband needs to change. Okay, can you help him change my daughter? I'm bringing her to therapy. I need you to change her. If you're like that, you're in the blaming cycle. And this is the human hamster wheel. It just goes round and round. And if you get caught up in this energy, it's creating a lower frequency. You see how it can move this way? And you get these events like death, divorce, emotional abuse, disability. All of these things can create trauma. And also, when you're in this vibration and doing this, you can create these events. You've heard that? Like attracts like. So this lower frequency will attract lower frequency events. So you can bring them into your life. That's metaphysics. And so when we haven't healed from these trauma events, and if we haven't felt the hurt, or we felt the hurt and it's not met with compassion, it turns into anger and it cements the fear. Okay, so why did I say it like that? It's because, remember when I said I was judgmental and critical? I didn't have compassion. So I wasn't healing anybody, let alone myself. So if you were around me, how could you be healed? If you're hurt, I'm not going to meet you with compassion. I've never given it to myself. I never got it from my family. How am I going to give it to you? Do you see how the world operates like this without compassion? We're screwed. Because what you're going to get is chaos. You're going to get people that are angry. You're going to get people that are just anger and they take it out as rage at other people, shootings, bombings, war, violence, or they take it out on themselves. Because when anger turns inward, it can go towards depression and self-destruction, and we have an increase in suicide and an increase in drug abuse, self-destruction, an increase in destruction of families. So when I worked for Department of Family Services with abuse and neglect, I would work with the parents because I was a therapist there, and the judge would say, can we give these kids back to the parents? They're in foster care because of abuse and neglect. So they'd send them to the therapist, and I would see the parents. The parents were stuck in this fear, generational abuse, generational neglect, generational alcoholism. And so how do you turn that around? In my book, I go into it in detail, but I just want you to know that that energy is like a hamster wheel. It can go this way, it can go that way, and if you ever Google chaos theory, they have a diagram where the energy of chaos goes like this, that, and this. It's chaotic. You don't know where it's going to go. This is the energy that is on our planet right now. And if you lack compassion for yourself and other people, then you're going to perpetuate the chaos cycle. Everybody around you will be stuck in it. So the diagram of the cycle of suffering helps visualize the cycle of energy created by fear. Feelings and behaviors can create a self-destructive pattern. The cycle of suffering can be genetic, meaning that we store a lot of our experiences in our DNA. We're discovering that. Chronic and generational. So this is just another thing that says fear creates all chaos. So when you're listening to the news and there is something about Muslims, Mexicans, black men, it is trying to create fear of the other. We know that. But we also need to talk to the television and talk to ourselves and say, I understand you're afraid. I love you. What are you doing when you say that? You're transmuting fear to love. And you say it to yourself every time you see something or you feel something that even resembles fear. You say to yourself, I understand. You're afraid. I love you. That's how you transmute it with compassion. That's what I felt when Dr. Masters, when I would just vent to him about all the crazy that I was going through. I could feel him saying to me, I understand. You're afraid. I love you. So the universe is not punishing you or blessing you. The universe is simply responding to the gravitational attitude that you are emitting. And we want to always come from a higher vibration. And one of the ways you do that is life is too short to hold on to grudges. You need to forgive. And so unforgiveness is a lower frequency vibration. If there's anybody in your life that you still hold on, anger, resentment, anything like that toward, that needs to be resolved. And the reason that it probably hasn't is because you probably thought forgiveness meant condoning. And it does not. It means a release of that anger, lower vibration energy on you. You're not condoning behavior. And when you understand that, that came from my son actually. He said people think that unconditional love means that you have to condone behavior. And that's not what it means. It means that you are the light, just like I am the light. You came into this world with dysfunctional stuff happening. It showed up in your behavior. But I love you. And you say to that person in your mind's eye, I understand. You're afraid. I love you. I feel like saying amen and doing the holy dance right now, okay? So, because that was good stuff. I'm going to have to do that myself. No, I'm just kidding. This is an example of oh my gosh, forgiveness, or oh my God, forgiveness. This was Charlotte, when the Caucasian man went in the prayer meeting and killed all the people that were in that meeting, and all the family. Okay, let me say that again. All the family at the court hearing said, I forgive you. What they were basically saying is, I understand. You're afraid. I love you. Can you do that? Because when you can do that, oh, you step into some power, people. You begin vibrating at a higher energy because you just left that anger. And you can change the world with that higher frequency. So this is just before I run out of time, this is just a way of transmuting that energy. After an event, be aware there are different perspectives or way of seeing that event. Be aware of how you were telling the story about that event. We need to be aware of what's coming out of our mouth. So even if it was 110 outside, it's a beautiful day, so you can't complain about the weather. But you know some people will complain about the weather. Like I'll say, oh, it's just so beautiful outside in Vegas. And they'll say, yeah, but the wind is crazy. You can't put any lawn chairs out. And I'm like, wow, how did that turn into a negative? It's not even 117 yet. But people find comfort in complaining. That's a lower frequency, and you don't have to go there, even though most people do. If you have a car, be grateful for the car. Even if it doesn't run and it's sitting in your driveway, just be grateful for that car. Just be grateful for everything, because as soon as you complain, I'm telling you, that frequency will go right down to your toes, and you cannot help the world. So this is what I practice all the time. This is very simple. This does not have to be complicated. This is the 5-pointed star. You can remember it because it's part of your appendage, right? Love is the most important thing. And I'm not talking about, oh, I love you. I'm talking about, I love you no matter what. I love you regardless of your behavior. What did she say? Yes. I said, I love you regardless of your behavior. Were we taught that? No, we were taught, oh, you're going to act like that? Oh, well, I don't want to be around you. I don't want to have anything to do. Well, you don't have to have anything to do with them, but you still need to love them. Love them as you love yourself, and you need to really love yourself. I mean, every time you pass a mirror, you need to be saying, hi, sweetie. Hi, my precious. I love you. Because that is a high frequency. If God is love and God is in you, ooh, you better love you. Because it's going to come out when you talk to people. So love is very important. Compassion. Compassion is one of my favorite things. Think of it this way. You see the good in a person. You see the bad in the person. You go straight to love. Because when I was growing up, I said, my mom doesn't see the bad in my dad. I've got to remind her how bad he is. I've got a whole file cabinet of all the things he's done. She needs to know about it. So I'd be just saying, oh, he did this, he did. No, you see the good, you see the bad, you don't dwell on the bad. That's a lower frequency. But you see it. Yeah, he did that. Go straight to love, unconditional love. This is what changed the world. But have compassion towards yourself first, then you can spread it out to everybody. So you see the good in you, you see what you're working on, no shame, no guilt, don't attach anything to it, go straight to love. So you got that dance? Okay, I see the good, I see the bad, love. Okay, so I want you to do that. That's how you're going to remember, right? Yes. Acceptance, accept that you are powerful beyond measure. Accept it. Just go ahead and accept it. Just go ahead. Yeah, you just are. And when you see it in yourself, you can see it in other people. Okay, and then trust. Trust that the universe has your back. Trust that this place is rigged in your favor. It is rigged. And I'm from Las Vegas. If somebody tells you that a machine is rigged, you're going to sit there, right? Okay, you just sit there in life just knowing that it's rigged in your favor, and that is the truth. And I'm out of time, and I love you so much.